Welcome to the Industry Insider, brought to you by PromoCorner. Each week, promotional product professionals Meg Erber, Jeff Franklin, and Stephen McFadden, along with special guests, will discuss industry news, trends, and events with a focus on educating the promotional products industry. The Industry Insider, the nerdy news you need to know.
Welcome back to yet another exciting episode of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I'm joined today by three other lovely folks. And Stephen tried to do it again. He did back out, but he got back in, and I had to push the button right at the last second. You sneaky bugger, you. All right. Well, this episode is brought to you by PromoJournal.com. All right, powered by PromoCorner. PromoJournal is the industry's source for fresh daily content. Check out their exclusive blogs, videos, and podcasts to learn about advertising opportunities. Reach out to sales at PromoCorner.com. And since we've got Harry Houdini himself here, why don't we say hello to Stephen McFadden? He's gone and he's back again.
He's all about those nicknames.
I'll wait till we get to Josh.
Bye.
I'm doing fantastic. I am ready to talk tech.
How's that greenhouse coming along, Stephen?
You know what? It's going really well.
Yeah. How much have you got done in the last 5 minutes?
I was able to pick up a screw that I dropped.
Oh, well, good thing. You don't want it to end up in your tire. So,
speaking of screws in the freaking tire, this weekend on Saturday, I was driving to Frederick to go out to a restaurant with a friend for brunch, and I freaking ran over a screw in the middle of the interstate.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
It's his
because
karma.
you left it there. In the freaking greenhouse in the middle of the interstate, Stephen. Meg Erber, how are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. It's a little hotter here than I'm used to this week, but hey, I'm glad to be home. Kids. My baby starts school tomorrow, so this is a pre-recorded episode. So you guys are going to be watching this on the 13th. Today is the 5th. I actually am flying to New Orleans tomorrow. I'm going to be hanging out with the lovely and talented Stephen McFadden tomorrow, and
I'm sure it's not going to be any hotter there than it is here.
Oh my God, I'm bringing the curls or the frizz as per Jeff says it. But I'm actually missing her first day of school tomorrow, so I'm like a little. I know I'm already having a hard time with all this, so we're not going to talk about it. But I'm okay right now. So how are you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. My kids started school back on August 23rd. But their last day of school is May 31st. It's freaking
okay.
weird.
Yeah, we're like mid-June.
Yeah, like they start the same time, like each year. It's like that same week of her birthday. But like last year they got out, I don't know, June 2nd or 3rd. Somehow this year they're getting out in like the end of May, which is, I never got out in May when I went to school. Like, come on.
Neither did I.
Come on. All right. So doing all right. But look, we've got a special guest, Mr. Josh Pospisil. Did I say it right?
Not even close.
Popsicle. There we go.
Popsicle works, but it's Pospisil. You got to pretend there's an H after every S.
Wait a second. I never knew this.
Like the Grinch. It's Josh Pospisil.
Say it one more time.
Pospisil.
Pospisil.
Yeah.
It's just popsicle. All right.
Just popsicle.
Doing, Josh? First of all, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm freshly 40 years old as of Sunday. So, it was a weekend full of celebrating, and today's a little bit of recovery mode, sleeping through alarms, things like that. So hopefully by next week, I'll be back to normal.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Absolutely. Happy belated birthday. But it is customary for us to give our special guest, as you know, a good 3 to 4 minutes to introduce yourself, what maybe how you got your start in the promotional products industry and what you've been up to since. So for those that don't know you or haven't seen you on previous episodes, why don't you just give us the rundown?
Yes, I'm Josh Pospisil. I get popsicle a lot. Obviously, your J-pop is actually pretty common. I've been in the industry. Well, right now I'm now the national account manager here at Hirsch, coming to you live from their showroom today. But I've been in the industry close to a decade now. Started out at a smaller supplier called KTI Promo, doing all things tech related. Now here it's all things retail with tech and drinkware and some other stuff mixed in there. I got my start in promo in a you would say shady way, I guess now, because I answered a Craigslist ad, walked in, got the job. I had no clue what I was getting myself into, because all I knew working in digital marketing for big box retail was promo was hats, shirts, and pins. I didn't know it was basically everything on the planet. So my knowledge has just grown tremendously, volunteering right off the bat once I realized this was the place I love, because I was told once you're in, you don't ever leave. And I fully believe that. It's a crazy industry filled with crazy, cool people. And I've loved every single second of it.
Nice. Am I the only one that misses Craigslist?
Yes.
Yeah, is it not around anymore?
I mean, it is, but not really. It's like MySpace. MySpace is technically still around too, man.
So funny enough, back in the day when Craigslist was something, you could go on there and it'd be like missed connections or something. You could go on and read them and they'd be really funny.
Personals.
Right. But there would also be like, oh, I saw you on the train station, blah, blah, blah. So I had an interaction with a woman from Massachusetts. I meant to talk about this on the last podcast because our guest was in Massachusetts, but I'd taken a left. Long story short, I'd come around out of a parking lot and there was a car in front of me, pulled out. So I was the next person to go. So I went. A couple of seconds later, I look up and I see some lady, I don't want to call her old, but maybe to insult her, I will. But this lady with blonde hair comes barreling down the road, honking her horn, screaming profanities at me, sticking up the bird. And I'm like, I was like, really? I was like, come on in here. So I pulled into the gas station thinking like, hey, we'll have an adult conversation about this. Like I'll find out what I did to upset this woman. But she was literally about to fight me in a parking lot because she said I didn't stop. She told me to take my big effing truck back to New Jersey. And this lady was so full of fire and spit and vinegar. I honestly still don't even know what I did to upset her. But like, she's lucky she got me that can control this. Like, there's no way any other person would have. I mean, she was like about to hit my car with her car just to prove a point. So my Massachusetts friend, if you have a blonde friend that drives a little green, I don't know, Kia or a Fit, give her my number.
A what?
I don't know. It was lime green. A Fit, like a
What
Honda
is a Fit?
Oh,
I thought you were trying to say like Fiat, but like
no, it's a Honda Fit. Yeah, I don't know what this was. But
I call those little cars like that because they're so like, it's a hatchback and it's so crunched but a little tall. I say it looks like a pregnant roller skate.
Roller skate, right? Yeah. My daughter actually had one, and they were in a really bad car accident a couple weeks ago, but they're fine. It's Honda, but it was destroyed. So anyway, that's how I'm doing.
Speaking of small cars, I haven't seen one of those smart cars in a long time.
Neither have I.
Are they still around?
I don't know.
Those things are tiny.
They are tiny.
Yeah. You see just more Teslas than anything nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, that's because of all the tech, Josh. All of the tech. Okay. So
what a segue, Jeff.
I'm on it today. What can I say? So since we're talking tech, and you got started in tech with you said KTI, right? And then now you're with Hirsch. I'm sure you've got a lot of knowledge and experience to bring to the table and to the conversation. So, and Stephen, I think you've got some nerdy news for us in a little bit about the tech industry or about the tech category in our industry. But we want to talk to people about why they need to be considering tech, things to look out for when selling tech, and any of that stuff. So why don't you drop some knowledge bombs on us? Where do you want to start the conversation, Josh?
I don't know. We can just start. I mean, there's a lot to go over. I definitely think like it could be an hour-long video to go over tech and you'd only scratch the surface of things. First things first, don't be scared to sell it. It's really not that difficult. It's part of everyone's everyday life at this point. You're always on your phone, or these days you're getting notifications on your watches, and it's all built into your car. You're using Apple CarPlay and whatnot. It's not anything to be afraid of, and you don't need super in-depth knowledge to make someone excited about buying a piece of tech, I think is what it is. Yes, you want to know the ins and outs of it, but when you're presenting it to someone, you don't need to tell them always like wattage and amps and all of that, unless it's a power bank, then they need to know like what the capacity is. But most of the time you just need to know enough about the product. And if it's a retail brand, it's a lot easier in that sense because there's already like a JBL website or something with all of that information there that you can send them to, or they've already seen it in a store, and that trust factor is built into that. Mm-hmm. I think that when you're looking at tech, especially in promo, we do have an endless amount of options here, right? You have everything from low cost, overseas, not retail based, to retail brands like Hirsch sells. So the education levels are different because a lot of what we sell, people know, they've seen it. It's advertised like crazy throughout the holidays and all sorts of things, from iHome to JBL. Some of them like iHome, I can say that all of those alarm clocks with USB ports, they're found in 95% of your hotel chains, right? It's super easy. They'll go in, they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that. And that clicks. The fear, I feel like, comes in when you're dealing with those lower cost tech options that aren't those retail brands. Then that trust factor isn't there. So you have to build that in. Like as a supplier, I have to build that in with my distributor customers, and then the distributors have to build it in with their end buyer clients, and making sure that's where I would say, ask your questions, ask like, do you have certification paperwork on it? Especially when it comes to the batteries, that's a big deal. Your rechargeable products, which is basically everything, your Bluetooth speakers, your earbuds, power banks, all of that. You want to make sure those certifications are in place for those batteries, because that is your main component that can mess up a tech product in a heartbeat. And you don't want the battery to short out after 2 uses. So first things first.
You mentioned those iHomes and the clocks in hotel rooms. And I feel like every hotel room that I go into, they still have those clocks with the little attachment on the top. Look, I'm old school. I still have got, my iPod.
An Android.
Hey, I have that too. It's fun to plug it in and see what you were listening to back then.
Well, no, not only that, but I'm thinking like those things are still in hotel rooms, but Apple hasn't made like an iPod in years. So I'm wondering, like, I'm thinking that's like going to be one of those products like the rotary phones where kids are going to go into these hotel rooms and they're going to see these things. Look, what the hell is that little attachment for at the top?
That's funny.
So, anyhow, that's where my mind wanders when you're talking about iHomes. Anyhow, but Josh, you say not to be worried about it or not afraid to sell tech products, but come on, man. We've all received those, the USB drives that are 128 kilobytes, and you stick it in and the damn thing doesn't even read. So what do people need to be on the lookout for? You've mentioned certifications, but when it comes to things like, USB drives or power banks and things like that, what do people really need to be on the lookout for?
Power banks, it's all about certification. That's what it is. That's what you're taking on a plane. It's where it's going in a backpack, in your purse or whatever. So power banks you've got to make sure that those are certified, because those are rechargeable.
UL certification. Is that what that is?
Yeah, UL certification. And a lot of them, honestly, UL certified or UL listed. Certified is it's a lot of money to invest in to get UL certified. That's why like your bigger retail brands are your main ones that are going to be UL certified. A lot of your other ones need to be UL listed. So that way they at least meet those requirements and they match them, but maybe that factory doesn't have the cash flow to get certified and maintain everything, but it meets everything else, which is honestly still close to being just as good if the customer doesn't have the budget for those UL listed or UL certified, the more retail brands. I know when I was at KTI, it was always important for me when we were looking at those products that they had to be at least UL listed from a power bank perspective. Same thing with all of your other products that have batteries in it, your headphones and earbuds and speakers. I was very adamant about making sure all of the batteries in there that were rechargeable were UL listed. So it met all those. From a USB standpoint, it's difficult because, they're kind of, I don't want to say they're a dying breed because people still use them. I know I still have them and use them, but it's few and far between thanks to your cloud services and holding a lot of that information these days. But it is an easy way within companies to pass that back and forth. Just really, it's making sure it plugs in, and it works in their sufficient space. You said kilobytes, that's not even relevant. You need gigabytes at this point, sometimes
Nowadays,
terabytes.
yeah. But that's my point. You get this cool tech item that you think you're going to go home and be able to use, and then it's 128 kilobytes, and it's like, oh, what the hell am I going to use this for?
Yeah.
So, Josh, I have a question. This is more about the evolution of tech products. So, like 2010, if you were selling tech products, you were selling things like phone wallets, or I don't know what else there was, but like,
in all honesty, flash drives were huge.
Flash drives, yes.
They were huge.
I remember. I've got some good experience.
Shaped ones and all sorts of stuff in 2020.
I have one, I think, with Paul Bellatone's head on it. I'm pretty sure.
Custom, yeah.
I've actually got some good experience with KTI back when I was working at Blue Chip as a distributor, and we worked with Carlos there all the time, and he always told us when you're talking about flash drives, there's a certain type of chip within the flash drive that you've got to look out for. I don't know if they were grade blah 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 or tier blah blah blah. But whatever that was, it was. I mean, they always used, good tiered.
Yeah, I mean, it's for us. It was making sure, looking at factories, and it wasn't coming just run of the mill. We did our own research and KTI had someone overseas that really ran through the factories to make sure it was someone they wanted to partner with for those, because it was so easy to just basically. It's the only way I can think of saying it is like just right off the street, and you don't know what's going into it, but it is a chipset that you want in there, and you needed your transfer speeds to be up to bat, because back then, 10 years ago, it was transfer speeds of 2.0, which now is completely irrelevant. Then you got into 3.0, and then it was 3.1, and now it's gone up since. And that just meant it was your transfer speeds between whatever you were putting on from your computer onto the flash drive was how quickly it was going to go over with. And then you could easily tell the difference, because if you're looking at the inside of the USB drive, something with a 3.0 was blue. Everything else was standard black. And your transfer rates were vastly different. You were looking at a 30% jump in speeds to transfer those files over. Now, if you're getting like hundreds of gigabytes of stuff over, it is still going to take time, but it'll cut the time dramatically. And they don't even make 2.0 flash drives anymore. They're completely obsolete.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a shift actually that I've kind of taken on personally, is, going from, I guess, quality or size, or however you want to term it, to more about speed. Whether it's a TV, whether it's a USB, a backup flash drive or a backup storage drive or whatever, it's not so much about the size anymore. It's all about the speed. So when you're getting a TV, it's 120 hertz at minimum. If you're getting a backup storage drive for your computer or something like that, trying to transfer all this data that we're dealing with in this information age takes literally ages. And so you want the fastest thing possible. Absolutely.
I mean, it is. It still goes back to what everyone thrives off of, which is that instant gratification. If it takes too long, you're done with it. It can't go. I mean, I have flash drive, like the external hard drives still too, that have some old files and pictures on it that I transferred over from my Mac after it was crashing, and got rid of it. And now I've got some stuff on a cloud server and some on some hard drives at my house.
Oh man.
Yeah. Look, I'm old school, man. I always need a hard backup somewhere. The cloud scares me so much, because I'm telling you, one of these days something's going to erase everything and you're going to all be screwed.
I know.
I was a late adopter to it, because for that reason, I'm like, someone's going to hack it at some point. But I'm like, if you want to get into my pictures, so be it.
But remember, what was that MySpace one? That one all my pictures were in that photo bucket. They're all gone. All of them gone. So exactly. So I'll finish my question. So that's okay. Over the years, it's changed, right? Like what's hot and trending. What would you say that is the number one tech product or product category within the tech family that people should be selling right now? What is hot? What is trending? What is the number one? What should they be buying or selling?
Tough. Speakers and power banks.
Okay. And the good power banks, the fast
Yeah.
power banks.
The fast power banks.
The
You're
the
correct.
fast certified.
The fast power banks.
The
You're
the
correct.
fast
Yeah.
certified power banks.
You have to have them. The way that your phones drain now, because we're on them all the time, right? We're answering emails. You're on all of your social media apps. You're on food delivery apps. You're booking
Recording a
movie
podcast.
tickets, plane tickets. You're
GPS.
doing everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have a power bank. And used to, you could get away with a power bank that was like a 3000 mAh, which, just to nerd out a little bit, was going to give your phone back, you want to say 2010, probably good 50 to 75%. Still an emergency charge. Now, the way these run, you're looking at a 25 to 30% charge on your phone at a 3000 mAh power bank. Most of our phones, like your iPhone Pro Maxes and such, you need a good 8 to 10,000 mAh power bank to charge your phone a good one time. I prefer traveling with a 10 or a 20,000 mAh power bank, so I can get, if I have to charge my iPad or my laptop or your phone, you know, you need those bigger ones. And even when I took my daughter to see Taylor Swift in April, we have these power banks from Nimble that it fits in the palm of my hand, but it's a 10,000 mAh power bank. So it fit in that clear pouch for us to take. And we both needed our power banks that day because we were trying to take pictures and record videos, and it just drains.
Yeah, I like 20 to 30,000 for sure. And it's got to be fast charging, 18 or 25 watt, you know, and it's got to be USB-C. Anybody that's still doing anything USB-A, get the hell out.
So that's my next question. So I don't have a single power bank except for the ones and everyone that I've received. Even like last year, I received one that had a USB-C, and I'm like, I don't have any way to charge my phone with this. Like, I got it all charged up and ready to go, and I took it somewhere, and I was like, I don't have any way to connect this to my phone.
They need to have both. Like this one right here that I have, it has both. And it needs to have both options, because not everyone has moved to having that Type-C in yet.
And do you carry those at Hirsch?
We do, of course.
There you go.
Mike has to leave soon. Nerdy news.
Yeah.
Okay. Nerdy news. I have another question. Go ahead.
You want to do it first? Go for it.
All right. So on that thing, would you find that it's more popular, the generic cheap versions of things, or are people asking more for the brands? What are you seeing that is the better seller right now?
Brands.
Okay.
People are, and it really goes back to your trust factor.
Yeah.
Is where it goes.
Okay.
And brands are,
yeah,
it's such a big part of our life that it's easy to trust them because they're everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. And there's accountability there. So
before I dive into the nerdy data here, one the things I think we talk about with every product category is decoration capability. And I do know that it seems like with tech, in the beginning, there wasn't a whole lot of options, but now it seems like you got full color domes and custom shapes and spot colors and pad prints, and there's lasering, and it seems to be pretty robust as far as having a good open template for artwork. So you want to chime on that, or you want me to go into the data? Josh, would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, it really is. It's all over the board. I think on most of your tech, though, you're going to see your pad prints, your 4-color process. I don't like laser engraving on tech. Is not something I would highly recommend, just because of components and stuff, especially on power banks. I wouldn't want to chip anything off of it, but putting more on it, like 4-color process or pad prints, screen print even, to me is where most of it is.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, the curiosity too, with something like screen, don't you have to dry them? Like, so when
you do. We have a certain way to dry them without it not getting crazy, because we don't want them to get too hot either.
Right. So let me go.
It's a fine-tuned process.
Yeah.
Right. That's Jeff's part-time. That's what he was doing. All right. So nerdy news. So product categories that popped up in tech, as far as the top 10 or top 20 in the industry based on the consumer ad report. USB drives and power banks. Those were the top two. Those were actually the only two that were mentioned as far as tech, but that's because they subdivide tech so broadly. So For power banks, 51% of consumers would keep or use a power bank for longer than how many years? 2 years. 51% would use it more than 2 years. And USBs, 44% more than 2 years. Cost per impression and number of impressions, USBs and power banks have the same number. Care to guess?
2,000.
What?
2,000.
870.
I was gonna say around 564.
I thought it would be low, but I didn't want to sound completely stupid or dismissive.
But they're always like in your pocket or in a backpack and stuff.
Right.
So I can see why the number would be lower than something.
Yeah, but hey, man, when you're sitting in an airport and you're charging your phone, you got freaking 60 people sitting around you.
You hold it up like this and you tell people
Hell yeah.
do this as you walk by. That's how you get
Hell
your
yeah.
10,000. So as far as the most effective products, which they use by consumer behavior and the likelihood that they'll then do business with the advertiser, which I think, ROI is probably still probably the top piece that marketers will use whether to buy a piece. Power banks was number 3, and it's 40% more likely. So very successful piece still in promo. USBs was number 5. So there you go. There's some nerdy news on the 2 tech pieces, and
I'm honestly a little, and maybe because I don't know if they would rate it tech. To me, I would, but I'm surprised Bluetooth speakers didn't list on there, because we all use them. I mean, even your Amazon devices
Even
too.
I use them.
Considered that.
Yeah.
I have like 4 or 5 of them laying around the house.
I will say it is hard to. I think at some point it's going to be hard to delineate what's tech, what's office, what's like. There's so many categories that cross over each other. Those ones seem pretty obvious. But I think you're right. Like speakers is in here somewhere, right? It's like, which category did it get put into? Right?
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's definitely in there. I feel like that's a huge seller.
As the individual products continue to get larger and larger, it wouldn't surprise me if they create their own, like bar chart or whatever it is for that piece. So make sure to see what it looks like in a few months.
All right. Well, this episode is brought to you by promojournal.com. Okay. Powered by PromoCorner. PromoJournal is the industry source for fresh daily content. Check out their exclusive blogs, videos, and podcasts. To learn about advertising opportunities, reach out to sales@promocorner.com. Josh, thank you so much. Pospisil.
Pospisil. Yep.
Did I do it right or no?
You did it. It was perfect. You were on point. You did not screw it up this time.
All right. You're still Josh Popsicle. That's all there is to it.
Aww.
All right. Really appreciate you coming on and joining us and sharing some knowledge about tech products with us. And Meg, Stephen, you guys were all right.
Thanks.
Until next time, guys. We'll be seeing you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of PromoCorner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit promocorner.com.